Om Asatu Ma Sadgamaya Tamasu Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormam Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness of ignorance to light of knowledge, and from death, which is this limited existence, to the unlimited immortality. Dear friends, very happy again to be with you all. And as Diane told that this is an unusual topic, I come up with some unusual topic. I told, well, at least the topic should be unusual. Otherwise, the talks at Vedanta Society they are all usual talks. I told probably an incident that one of our devotees, she goes sometimes to Boston, sometimes to Providence, and then she was attending the Wednesday classes there and on Vedanta Sar at that time. So she didn't go for quite a few classes and then again went. And as she started listening to the class, she said, I didn't feel anything missed because the same thing was going on, you know. Exactly, friends. It is the same thing that gets going on, reinforced with different examples, with different analogies, giving the context of different situations and so forth. And that is all that we need. There is the famous couplet about the Vedanta, that all Vedanta can be summed up in just half verse. Shlokardhena parvakshame yaduktam granthakotibhi. That which has been described in 1,000 million verses or 1,000 million books, I will just condense it for you in half verse. In telling this, half verse was spent, and then the remaining half verse was used for that, and that is that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, that the Brahman, the one without second absolute, that is the reality. The appearance that we see, this universe, is just temporary, comes and goes. It is not real. And what is considered the individual, this I, is same as that all-pervading absolute Brahman, no different from that. So with this, let me turn to our present topic. I am a socialist, a statement of Swami Vivekananda. Please remember, somebody pointed it out to me in Providence that you are talking on this topic. People may think of some political connection because this is the election year. But friends, there is no political message that is being conveyed here. It is the socialism is a very popular idea. It has captured the minds of people for a long, long time, right from the beginning of human societies. The word may not be exactly the word as socialism, but those ideas have been quite prevalent. In fact, the very basic truths in socialism are also enshrined in American Declaration of Freedom. You must be surprised that, this is a capitalist society. How could you have the basic idea of socialism in American Declaration of Freedom? Well, That is the first statement really. We believe that all human beings are equal. All are equal. And that is where the things begin in socialism as well. Only it proceeds in different directions. But this is the basic truth that we begin with. That from here, then in socialism, it builds up that so there should be the equal distribution of wealth. In capitalism, it takes a different turn. Equal opportunities. Let there be equal opportunities, and as per our capabilities, we grow. And then a consequence of that capitalist idea is therefore whosoever uses the available opportunities best will get the maximum wealth, maximum privileges, and so forth. Socialism, no. In socialism, it takes a different turn, that we are all equal, and then therefore we should have the equal rights, equal distribution of wealth. There should not be an individual possession as such. The society possesses everything. And there is a merit to both these ideas, friends. Both these are systems, and as such, no system is perfect. Every system has its plus and minus points, and it is not very easy to strike a balance in them in all different situations, because of the innate human psychology that I want to be better than you. Everybody wants that. Yes, we are all equal, but I want to be superior to you, you know. I want to win Super Bowl, not you guys. Today that is the, yeah, so it is. I want to prove myself to be superior to you in some respect or other. If I can do it in every respect, that would be great. But then at least let me find my area where I will show that I am one plus above you. So it is, therefore, this idea that I am superior to you, it undermines the socialism. But then that is how human minds are. That is why you will see, although socialism has held sway over human minds as an ideal for ages, never ever you will see it really succeeded for a long time. There were attempts, there were the dreams that we will have a society, a socialistic society. And different models were proposed. Most well-known is the Marx-Engels model. But then there were some others, Frederick and others. There were in the modern society, modern means if you take the modern era after French Revolution, then the French communes, they were kind of first model of a socialistic society that lasted for a long time of 2 months. So the experiment failed almost as quickly as it began, because it is so difficult to sustain the idea of equality. It is the perception of multiplicity just destroys the idea of equality that most of us do not get. The multiplicity requires difference. In our basic mathematics studies, there was this idea, that two sets can be considered different only if there is at least one element that is in one and is not in other. Then only it can be considered different. So, two things, they are like sets, two things are different. Only if there is something different in them. And so, they are different. And so, they are not same, and therefore, as they appear multiple, they cannot be equal in every respect. And yet there is this tremendous appeal of equality. We all like equality. There should be justice for all means equal. And that is also a defining principle of democracy. That it was not in American democracy, it was not in the beginning. The idea of equality. Not that everybody didn't have equal votes. It took a long time for women to get their voting rights. Only men are maybe in some respects equal. Women and men, they are not equal. Women wouldn't have voting rights. It took a long, long fight to get women their voting rights. Also, the slaves, they didn't have voting rights for a long time. There was very funny 3/5 right thing. So what I want to say that although all are equal, no, all are not equal. It is in our language we say, look, even the 5 fingers of a hand, they are not equal. They have different capabilities. That thumb is different. Thumb kind of rules, therefore there is the thumb rule. So it is because thumb rules. So it is a joke apart, but the equality, where is that equality? Swami Vivekananda was in one letter, and that is an important letter to study his views on society as such. This letter was written to Mary Hale from London, and he gave there that how the rule of society changes from one class of people to the other class. And there is a very thorough discussion in Vedantic texts like Bhagavad Gita about it. Bhagavad Gita, Purusha Suktam, although the details are not very much clarified, neither in Bhagavad Gita nor in Purusha Suktam, but in commentaries and in the Smritis you find the details of that how the various classes which are called Varnas. Varna is different from the other word that gets unfortunately translated with the same word in English. Jati and Varna are two different things. But caste is the common word that is used in English to denote both. Jati and Varna are completely different things. Varna is dependent on your aptitude, your qualities, and the work that you do, how you develop yourself, that determines your Varna. Jati is just the genetical, that line, your lineage, that is conveyed by this word Jati. And Jati and Varna are as such not related. You can have any Jati, means any kind of birth, but then your Varna will depend, as Bhagavad Gita says, that it is a guna karma vibhagashah, according to your qualities and the work that you do accordingly. These 4 Varnas are made, and these 4 Varnas therefore depend on the initial propensities and the aptitude of a person, you will see they differ a lot. That some like to pursue knowledge, they are not much into the sensual enjoyment. They don't consider that as the goal of life, and therefore their goal is not either money making. Money is very secondary for them. They want to have the knowledge. They are in pursuit of truth at various levels, and therefore their passion is to learn and to teach. And therefore they live a life, and they are advised to lead a life that is conducive to that. And then that varna gets called Brahmin. They have therefore preponderance of what is called sattva. I don't want to go into the details of it. That could be a topic of different lecture, how these varnas, they are set up. The Kshatriyas, they have the administrative qualities, that valor is there to fight wars, to protect the land and so forth. So they have the propensity to enjoy the sensual pleasures. The knowledge, they have the idea of pursuit of knowledge, but not as much as the Brahmins. It is good to have some knowledge, so that knowledge of warfare and so forth, some arts and such things to enjoy. Knowledge for them is for enjoyment, not a pursuit in itself. So that is Kshatriyas. Then there are the Vaishyas, whose idea is to earn more money. So they have the activity and very little propensity towards knowledge, except that which helps to make them more money. That knowledge is good, which helps you make more money. In New York you can find a lot of it. So anyway, it is. Because unless you make money, what is the good of anything, that if you have to make money. So it is, that is called Vaishya mentality. And then a majority of this, they have so many other things, they cannot really focus on any particular thing. They have to be told to do work. There is no initiative as such. So there is the preponderance of what is called tamas. So, but then these classes, each of them have their plus points, merits, and in society all of them are very necessary to run a human society. Only Brahmins will not be able to run human society, impossible. Only Kshatriyas will not be. Any class, only that class will not be able to run a human society. And in the progress of the civilization of the world, each of these classes have played a very important role. And Swami Vivekananda has described that at various places. In this letter, he has given a hint of that. But those who are more interested can read a short book, small book, that's Religion, Caste, Culture and Society by Swami Vivekananda. It is a compilation. So that gives lot of his ideas about these things. But in this letter, and I am now quoting from his letter, that he says the first three of the varnas, that is Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, those pursuers of knowledge, the pursuers of power, and the pursuers of money. They had their, he says, the first three have had their day. Now is the time for the last. They must have it. None can resist it. I do not know all the difficulties about gold or silver standards. Nobody seems to know much as to that. But This much I see, that the gold standard has been making the poor poorer and the rich richer. Brian was right when he said, we refuse to be crucified on a cross of gold. The silver standard will give the poor a better chance in this unequal fight. I am a socialist, not because I think it is a perfect system, but half a loaf is better than no bread. So this is his statement about that. Swami Vivekananda, a person who has the vision of the ultimate reality always in front of him, even as he was seeing the variety, the perspective of the underlying one was always there, on which this multiplicity was getting placed. And therefore, he could see where we are equal. Where we are equal, let's see, friends. We all proclaim that yes, all of us are equal. How are we equal? Do we try to see that? In what respect? We all have, different age. Everybody will have, I was born on this date, this year, that year, so forth, So it is a different age, different size of body, different colors of the skin, different talents. All cannot be musicians like Patrick. Some have, some have different other skills. So it is like that. So it is, some are highly respected in society, some are not at all respected. But that is a different thing. Still we know that we are same. And it is Vedanta which points out where we are same. And unless we are aware of that fundamental equality or sameness, it is futile to find, equality in that which are different. You cannot enforce that equality because there are apparent differences. And again, there is the apparent spirit of competition. The spirit of competition is always there. I therefore love sports, in which you can give a very good vent to this competitive spirit without being inimical or violent. It is, in other things, given this scope to this competitiveness makes for some development, but then makes for wars and many such things too. So it is, sports is a very good way of giving, scope to this tendency to become better than others. And there is, Vedanta provides a psychological reason for why we want to be better than others. Actually, according to Vedanta, each of us is best, not just better. Each one of us is divine. And what can be better than God, friends? So each one of us is best. But everybody being best, it doesn't make a competition. Therefore, there is that oneness. Otherwise, in socialistic systems, as I was mentioning, that it is, it sways the human minds a lot, because yes, we all love that idea of equality. We are equal. But then that innate competition, I am better than you, and I want more. All those things, although you try to cover them up, all those tendencies come up fast, very fast. And that is why nowhere socialism has proved to be successful at all. This also is a truth that we have to acknowledge. There have been, and that is a welcome development after the socialist movements they started springing up. And that is where you see some very positive things have happened in the societies, most societies, that, for example, in general, the workers in factories or manufacturing places and all, they have now better living opportunities, conditions have improved a lot, there are unions and so forth. And in almost all countries you find them, maybe except in communist countries. So it is, that is how the irony is. The socialism probably gets followed more in non-socialistic countries. That it is, but, well, there have been these benefits of the socialist movements, that people feel for their rights and so forth. So even those like Angel, this co-author of some books by this Marx and Engels, their names are taken together, both worked together for a long time. Angel was not from an ordinary working family. He was the son of a mill owner and was manager of the big mill in England, in Manchester. So he was also born German, but he grew up then seeing how this system keeps these workers down, low, uneducated and so forth. And it is not just economics, even in terms of knowledge, because if they learn, then they will realize that, oh, these people are duping us and they are going to revolt against you. So therefore, keep them away from learning. They were being treated just as machines. The workers are treated as machines. In Providence, there is a Slater mill. It is kept as a model of how the American society changed from an agrarian society to an industrial society. And in that, there is all those mills came up there, textile mills, a large number of them. Still, even now you see the chimneys. The mills are gone, but the buildings have their chimneys to show that at one time, and not in too distant past, just before, say 100 years ago, that all area was buzzing with textile mills. So that Slater, the owner, he says, I treat my workers as machines. He tried to get maximum out of them, squeezing them literally. He changed the clock. Means they were made to come earlier and then he would change to make them go later than they should. So there are many very bad practices which now you will not be even like to hear about. It is terrible. So that kind of capitalist society is now a thing of past in most cases. But anyway, still this problem remains, that we want to have equality. Where does the equality lie? that we don't see. And that is where Swami Vivekananda's socialism differs from the socialism of those who did not see these deeper truths of life. That this manifestation that we see, this multiplicity that we see, there the competition is inevitable. Cutthroat competition is inevitable. You can't stop it. There is that well-known novel of George Orwell, Animal Farm. Many of you might have read it. Very interesting picture there of how the so-called equal rights and equal distribution of wealth and all that was described. And then one pig assumes power and then makes the horses they work. And one horse who was working a lot was not getting anything. This pig was appropriating all the good, nice things. So he said, but are we not supposed to be equal? And this pig frowns and in an intimidating voice says, all are equal, but remember, some are more equal than others. So that is how the terminology develops. Some are more equal than others. So it is a very funny statement, but that is how we see that in socialist, so-called socialist countries, you generate dictators. So therefore, this model is not a really socialistic model unless you see the deep-rooted equality. When you see or learn to see, that is where the practice is. Learn to see the same divinity in everyone. It is just learning to see the truth, friends, because that is the truth. Each of us, if you analyze, are you this particular shape called a body? You are not that. It keeps on changing. Remember how you looked when you were, say, 2-month-old? Not like this at all. Who are you? And that is the primary question that Vedanta tells you to analyze. Who are you? And then, as you proceed with that question, you see that you are bigger than you thought you are. In fact, you are the biggest. You are the whole universe. You are all that is. Because the same self is in everything. And so, now you see the equality. When you see that, then you now know where all are equal. And therefore, you deal with the apparent inequalities by looking at the unchanging basic equality, the changing inequalities. Versus is not then the right word. On the backdrop of unchanging oneness. When you get this comprehensive view, that is what Vedanta tries to teach us, friends. Why should we be just satisfied with the superficial reality of multiplicity, which automatically involves all sorts of contradictions, which therefore make our life full of suffering, confusion, and bondage? If you look just at the unchanging aspect of it, you can easily see that, well, that explains it. That makes us see with the same view of kindness as you see what this body is, the other body is also I, same I in the other body too. As Bhagavad Gita mentions, Atma upamyena sarvatra. What a beautiful word, friends. Like oneself, sarvatra, that person sees everywhere. Like this is I in this body, and there is the same I in other body. Now that hatred or conquering somebody, putting somebody else down, that will go away. Atma upamyena sarvatra samam pashyati so Arjuna. Arjuna is being addressed here, that this person therefore is the true yogi, one who has realized that ultimate truth and therefore is a true socialist. That yes, there is the distribution then is not equal, but according to need. That is another important principle that was brought out, in socialism. Distribution according to need, not according to one's, capabilities. You can be capable of, say, earning $1 million a day. Do you need that? You don't need that. So therefore you should be distributing it. Otherwise it will eat you up. It will eat you up. It is for your own good. Distribute it. It is like that. Wherever we see that glimpse of oneness, our attitude becomes socialistic. We all do that. Where? In our own body. All the different organs, we see them. They are different. They have different capabilities. The eyes, they do the job of seeing. Ears, they have their job of hearing. Each finger has its very dedicated, decided job. And therefore, when one finger gets hurt, is not capable, then the other fingers have to take over its job and they have to learn it. So, it is, but there is no fight between them. Can you imagine that kind of fight between the organs inside your body? That if the hands declare, we do lot of work, why this mouth, the fellow alone eats and keeps on giving orders? No, we will not feed the mouth. What will happen to hands? What will happen to other organs, friends? Yeah. If you decide equal distribution in that term, put one piece of bread on the eye, this eye, another eye. Imagine, will anybody get food? Nobody will get food. The distribution according to the needs. So, why this happens? Because of the perception of oneness. Now, therefore, if you expand, and this is all the practice of Vedanta, friends. Vedanta is practical. It is not just reading Upanishad and saying, all is self, all is illusory, and then go and have a drink. So that is not the practice of Vedanta, It is, practice of Vedanta, very practical, friends. And therefore, Vedanta, understanding Vedanta theories does not do us much good at all. That is not how the sages have taught it. It is not that much of a reading. there is was a great sage, Kabir. And he says that पोथी पढ़ी पढ़ी जगमुआ पंडित भया न कोय, ढाई अक्षर प्रेम का पढ़े सो पंडित होय. That by reading thousands of treatises, nobody becomes a wise person, but just 2 letters, 2.5, he says, 2.5 letters of love, if you can manage to read that, that makes you really a wise person. So that is the practice. The Vedanta is very practical. When we do this practice of seeing the same self in everyone, that is how then the transformation will take place in us, and also it will influence this society too around us. That automatically, out of this understanding that if I have too much than I can really utilize, it is going to kill me. Let me distribute it for my own good. Imagine, I can use some food for eating. If I take 5 times of that, unfortunately I am in the habit of that, but what does it do good to me? It hurts me. It hurts me. I should not be eating too much. Just whatever is needed, according to the need I should take. It is more than that, does not help, rather it hurts. There is a question in those who do the dieting. Oh, here there is a clock. Okay, I was wondering how much time I spoke. So it is, there is, what was I telling? That it is that you, so you have been listening, okay. So it is that if you eat more, you feel weak, because a lot of energy gets transferred to assimilating that food. It is, you can see that if you have a lot of things in your place, home, you can't use them. To arrange them takes more energy, you say. So time and energy. One lady told me that I said, well, you are such a good singer, you have a good ear and voice for music, you like it, why don't you do practice? Swami, the problem is I like to keep my house well organized, spick and span. And what happens is so many things the children bring upon, and I also feel I should get this and that. Now to keep them in proper place takes away all time. To keep them organized, keep them clean, and so forth. And so I don't get time to use them. I have got so many books, I have to dust them. And that is how the time goes, no time to read them, you see. So, what I mean is that distribution, you can see when you have this understanding that the same self manifests as all this. The total idea of socialism will find a very stable foundation. Otherwise, the contradictions galore, both in any system which only sees superficially. Capitalism or socialism or whatever other isms that can be manufactured out of these two, you will see this terrible problem, that they have their internal contradictions, because we are not seeing the full truth. We all say all of us are equal, but we do not see where the equality is. The equality, when we see that, then this riddle then is dissolved. Not that you solve the riddle, but it just vanishes. It is no more there. Then you will see that out of that you will feel the same compassion for anybody else, just as you feel it for yourself. If your left hand is hurt, the right hand does not think that let me go and help that fellow, and then it will be indebted to me and say thank you to me. No, it is a spontaneous thing, I am the left hand, I am the right hand. So that is how this person of realization sees, I am this whole universe. This is not, I am not this body at all. This body is like any other body. It is, and this is truth, friends. Not that we are doing anything special. This is just acknowledgement of the truth. And so, anything apart from that is something that we are doing erroneously. And then the error is going to come up in our life as bondage, misery, suffering, quarrels, wars, and so forth. So, therefore, that at Vedanta, we have to learn this. Look at Sri Ramakrishna's life, and that how he could see the differences, but also the same God in everyone. And as therefore, Swami Vivekananda mentions in his lecture on that My Master, it is that small book that is there. It is a combination of two of his lectures on that same topic, that he has lost the capacity to hate anyone. That is how the life becomes. Because of that kind of feeling, Jesus could not curse those who were crucifying him. Impossible to curse, It is, I am in all these forms. So, Swami Vivekananda says that there is a practical discipline to come to this oneness. That we should first acknowledge this truth. We may not be able to experience it immediately, but let us acknowledge it. Just ask yourself, is it true or not? Maybe I am not perceiving it at this moment, but do I believe it? That there is the one reality that is the foundation of all these apparent differences? Do I accept it as truth? What do you think? Come on. Yes, say loudly, yes. Yes, you accept it as true, isn't it? Yeah, that there is this one reality. And now, there comes the question of, then how do I realize it? How do I experience it? It is very same thing, like suppose you want to go to some very nice place. Let me go and see the Amazon, that river and all those places, and not that online store. It is... These days people don't know Amazon is the name of a river. They think that it is that store. So it is. So I want to go and see. So how to go there, how to go to Brazil, and how all those things are to be gotten. That ticket I have to buy. I have to apply for my vacation. All these are, the idea is to go there. But first you believe that there is such a place, isn't it? Then you can start making the efforts. Without having this faith that there is such a place, you wouldn't even try to make an effort. Columbus started sailing towards the west in search of India. There were two very core beliefs on which this search began. First is, there is a place like India. I have seen many people from India coming, and then many goods from India, many of people that went to India. That is one, but they took a long circuitous route to get to India. But now we know earth is round. That is the second belief. The earth is round. So if I keep on going to the west, I will reach eventually the east. So that was the second core belief with which he started. So without these beliefs, that this, what is called actually a dynamic, the word belief or faith does not convey that idea, that in Sanskrit we call it Shraddha. That Shraddha, that yes, that makes you dynamic. I must realize it. And then you start moving in that direction. I must have it. And thus, this belief first, that there is such a reality, the truth, which is one without second. It is the storehouse of all peace and bliss. All that I want will be available when I experience that. So now, with that faith, that will make me work to realize this. I will take up the journey because it is going to give me not only a few things, but everything that I need in life, I will get by doing it. Isn't it tempting enough? If we believe, yes, it is tempting enough. But our belief is very weak in this respect. We easily believe in multiplicity, very rarely in the oneness. So therefore, this belief is not as strong as people took up so much trouble in going to Alaska to get the non-existent gold there. You know, that gold rush, you see that movie of Charlie Chaplin, wonderful. You know, that how much people took on the sufferings. Swami Vivekananda has quoted that you guys, you take so much trouble to go to get some gold. You believe that there is gold there. And here the sages tell you that there is this one reality, realizing which all your desires are fully, completely, totally fulfilled. You don't have that faith. If we have that faith, we will make concerted, all total effort to get it. And Swami Vivekananda tells that how one way to begin it. Yes, we meditate on that truth. That is important and must. We must meditate on that. We must do the prayers, meditations. But there is another important thing, is to distribute, to not hoard, but to distribute. It becomes a sadhana. To the extent that even if this body needs, when I see the need of another body more, then I should be giving that too. That is a practice, a spiritual practice, friends. That is why philanthropy and this what is called karma yoga are not same thing. In philanthropy, well, you can't withstand the suffering of others, and so you are doing something. It is good to do that something, and then that brings me some good name also. So that is why people do it. That's a good thing. But the karma yoga is different. Karma yoga is for your own salvation, for your own realizing the truth by acknowledging that there are what others are, they are also your images. And so, this is, I will be quoting from his lecture in, he had given this lecture in Madras, nowadays called Chennai. So, about how they he said that, look, in India, we had been telling all these truths of the glory of the self, all-pervading self, but what did we do in practice? Our aristocratic ancestors went on treading the common masses of our country underfoot till they became helpless, till under this torment the poor people rarely and poor people nearly forgot that they were human beings. They have been compelled to be merely hewers of wood and drawers of water for centuries, so much so that they are made to believe that they are born as slaves. This was the condition. Went on to such an extent that even touching such a person was considered terrible, untouchability. And some places it went to such mad exaggeration that even if the shadow of that fellow touches me, I have to go and take bath. What a terrible idea that it is. And now what is then the talking of the big things? He said therefore, and he said that in the midst of the very highly proud Brahmins in Chennai, that, and even now many will be scared of uttering these words. He said that, well, therefore, those who have been deprived for centuries of education, they must be made to get education, make special efforts for them. He says, and I quote, Brahmins, if the Brahmins have more aptitude for learning on the ground of heredity than the Pariah, spend no more money on the Brahmins' education, but spend all on the Pariah. Give to the weak, for there all the gift is needed. If Brahmin is born clever, let he can educate himself with the help of the others. If others are not born clever, let people, these downtrodden masses of India, therefore require to hear, to know what they really are. So this is the spiritual practice that Vivekananda prescribes. And this is just matter of justice also. It is just matter of justice. And so, therefore, I am a socialist. Let us take this to the heart in this manner, that let me not hoard, let me distribute for my own good. Thank you, friends. Any questions? No questions, huh? Oh, here he is. Yeah, I am scared of questions, because I have not written down the answers.
I'm scared to ask. I just want to say thank you, Swami Ji, for coming. Your presence makes me really happy. So, the whole point of Vedanta is to realize yourself, knowledge, through remove ignorance. But, so my question is, there are certain experiences that I feel that ignorance is removed, and I can kind of just feel that that I am one with that. They say aham brahmasmi. So that, but the thing is, and then it comes back. So like, what I'm asking is like, once you learn something in school, do you keep forgetting it?
You know, this question gets asked quite often. This is, you have learned and accepted at an intellectual level. That has to seep down to the marrow of your bones. It should percolate every pore of your being. Then you will not forget it. When it becomes experiential, then you don't forget it. When it is intellectual, you forget it. When it becomes experiential, you don't forget it. Like if you, just a common experience, that your finger touched something, a red hot iron or a flame, and what happened? Was it a very pleasant sensation? Burning. So now will you go to put your finger in a burning flame? No, because that knowledge stays. Because it is not that you read in book, but because you experienced it. So experientially when you see that all aham brahmasmi, then it doesn't remain something that you keep on lecturing about, but you experience it. And thus your life gets changed. It will then not go away. Thank you. Very good question. There is a couple of hands there.
Swami, thank you for coming to New York.
Thank you, Mark.
Question. Vivekananda once wrote that his idea of socialism is the elimination of all privileges.
Yeah.
Could you comment?
Yeah. Yes. This is also from another lecture right in Chennai and Madras. That can we obliterate the classes? No. Another very big blunder that the socialist or Marxist they want to do is obliterate classifications. He says, no, that is impossible. And in fact, against the truth. Multiplicity means human beings, you make classes. Classes are fine, but privileges are bad. Why one class should be treated as superior to other class, that is what should be gone. And in fact, in the ancient Indian society, that used to be the case, that the classes were there, but nobody would be considered superior in that sense. You could be considered superior by others. You won't think that you are superior, but because of your compassion, your love for others, your tremendous unfailing wisdom, you would be considered superior by others. So privileges, the demands that I am a Swami, so I should have this privilege, that should be just kicked out. And Vivekananda was very hard-hitting to the privileges of priests or the religious preachers of this type, that they appropriated a lot of privileges in those societies that and ran the society according to their whims and fancies, whatever could suit them. So therefore, he was very harsh on them, that no privileges, just because you are a king and I am a cobbler, that is the example he gives, that I can make a nice shoe. You may be running a kingdom, but that doesn't make you superior than I am. The same Atman is in all. You may ask, can you run a kingdom? I can ask, can you make a shoe like me? Yeah, it is very different, that you see, nobody is privileged. That poem of Emerson is there, that mountain and the squirrel. We learned that poem in, I think, in 5th or 6th grade. That the mountain was bragging to the squirrel, look how big I am, and you are tiny, nothing. The squirrel asked the question, but can you crack a nut like I crack? So that is how the privileges have to go. And the Vedantists, therefore, should work deliberately, diligently, so that no idea of I am being privileged should come to me. This is how Vivekananda never wanted privileges or the idea of superiority or inferiority to come to anybody's mind just because you belong to a particular profession or a particular class. The classes will remain there. You can't obliterate the classes. But the privileges have to go. Each class is equally important for the survival of society as such. Any other question?
Thank you. Excuse me. Swamiji. I've contemplated this question and thought of asking it in so many different ways. But basically, I feel that we make small advances. Maybe some of us make even a little more advances. And reading an abridged version of the Gospel of Ramakrishna, he seemed to say, or he said, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back to the West. And I feel that to make advances, true advances, it took and takes the physical presence of a master, the physical grace-filled touch of a master. And I don't know that we can really do much without that. And so my question becomes a little impertinent. Has it happened, and where is he? Or more respectful question, how do we do this without that physical presence?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And certainly, Sri Ramakrishna says that, and whether that has in physical world has happened or not, I am equally in dark as you are, or maybe more dark, more in dark. But the other thing is there. Swami Vivekananda said that, and this is documented, that now, after Sri Ramakrishna has given up his body, he has not really given up his body, but now he has assumed a huge body. And that body is this organization, Ramakrishna Mission, of which the Vedanta Societies are the part. So when you come in touch with that, you get it. You get the physical touch. And I can guarantee that to you from my experience, friends. You come in close physical touch with Sri Ramakrishna right here. And when you speak of physical touch with the body of Sri Ramakrishna, then in the 19th century, when he was in physical body, hundreds of people have come in touch with physical body of Sri Ramakrishna without having an iota of spiritual transformation in their life. So, do not depend on that kind of physical touch at all. That is my suggestion to you. But feel that touch to you within. Swami Sardananda, his biographer, writes that, well, if you understand the meaning of the touch of Sri Ramakrishna in that sense, we have seen so many people in that Kali Mandir or wherever he went, so many hundreds and hundreds of people meeting Sri Ramakrishna. Almost all, except a handful, thought of him as an insane person, gone case, needs help. So it is, yeah. So something like that. And their life therefore just remained as it was, just running after the bits of sense pleasures, and that's about it. But when you come here, you are not in that sense in physical touch, but you are actually in this expanded body of Sri Ramakrishna. Feel that, how privileged you are. How privileged you are. One of the students here had written that how privileged position that I am in. I live right in Manhattan, where there is this Vedanta Society, and I get to touch the presence of Sri Ramakrishna right here. And as you feel, you will get it. I can guarantee you that. Thank you. Very good question. Okay, friends. Thank you very much.